Yep, it's me again. Here we go. So let's see. Today, let's talk about it. Inking and tracing. Yep. Let's not talk about it. Let's just do it. Let's see what the whole hype is all about. So people are always trying to define what inking is. I think that I mean, maybe some people have expressed it better than others. I'm not real good with words, so I'm just gonna see if I can just demonstrate, show you. And the best way I can put it is that for my own interpretation, good inks are, and it's, and I've said it before, it's definitely different when you're inking over yourself and when you're inking over other artists or pencilers. When you're inking over yourself, you have the benefit of just, you can go loose and you can just kind of finish it in with inks. And it's definitely different from when you're working as an inker, professionally as an inker, when you're trying to ink over someone else. So with that said, I'm gonna see if I can show you the difference between inking and tracing. I like to think of inking is as finishing the drawing in ink. So you're really redrawing everything in ink rather than tracing, and the difference will be noticeable because you have it's when you're just tracing, it almost kind of makes it dull because you're not really thinking about like the lines, the energy, and what you're putting down. If you're just trying to do like just copy the lines or trace the lines. So let's just say it for what it is. So we're gonna trace, and I'll see if I can do like half tracing and half like thinking with a mindset of redrawing and basically recreating the same drawing that's there but in ink. So here we go. So we're gonna trace, and the problem with tracing is that my opinion is that if you're tracing, you want to do like you're going over and you're slowly drawing, just tracing every little bit, every line, and you're trying to get that exact line that they put down. And what happens is that you're not really putting any energy into the drawing. You're just kind of like copying what's there, and that could absolutely be fine. And a problem that you might have is that, okay, here comes the guessing part. Let's go to her hair. So there might be some underdrawings or some gesture lines, or in penciling you can kind of sketch out several lines, and when you're looking at it as a viewer, your eyes kind of connect everything and it finishes the drawing and kind of omit the insignificant lines. So kind of it's interpretation, but with the viewer's eyes kind of finishing it. And like I said, omitting, like you would omit that, all these little scratchy lines. So if you're just going to trace them, like, okay, what lines do I trace? As an inker, I didn't draw this. I'm going in to ink it. So I'm like, well, he probably wants this line in there. He probably wants this line in here. So I'm just going to trace every line that's here. I'll make it as pretty as I can. And, oh, okay, so there's that. And I want to finish every line that's put down here. And there's this line that goes here. And so I am basically trying to just trace it and not go back to my instinct as an inker. So I'm just going in, okay, trace every single line, because now without any kind of interpretation or redrawing, I'm just going to stick to what the penciler put down. And this one might be a little messy, but you never know what you get from pencilers. So, okay, see, I almost went in and finished some stuff myself. But that is me just putting down every line as I see it in the pencils. I'm not doing any interpretation. I'm not doing a little bit of finishing, but I'm trying to stick, okay, to just what I see here. Okay, so that's the half that, okay, so we'll go ahead and do this too. It looks a little scratchy, see? If I'm not talking to the pencil, I don't know what he wants, so maybe he wants some lines here. Looks like he just sketched in some lines, so I'm just gonna stick to it and do that. Kind of empty here, so her eye, this one, I see this line here, I see this here, thicker line here, and I see this, so I'm just gonna trace that. I see that, I'm gonna trace it and try to make it pretty. And trace this, trace that, and go trace exactly what I see here. Okay, so this is going to be, I don't know how to make this go faster, guys. So I'm going to do half of her face there, and I'm just going to trace. It looks like that and that. So there we go. So I traced that half, and I guess that looks okay. So the problem is that I'm drawing, or I'm scared to see, I didn't even get all the lines, so maybe I'll do that line too. The problem is that I might have, traced every line exactly as it has been penciled, and it, looks okay. But the difference in just tracing and inking is here. I'll do this side with inking. The inking mindset is that I'm redrawing this, so I'm going, okay, so I'm gonna think differently. I'm not just gonna go and slowly follow each line. I'm actually going to, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and now pretend like I'm just gonna draw her other ear here, and maybe I'll do more line weights here, and I'll go here. Maybe I'll go thinner. Now with her eye, like I can kind of see little scratchy lines here. I see the little eyeball there, but sometimes you can mess up with the eye. But if you just trace it, you don't really have, like this one, you don't really have the focus. Even if you fill that in, it's kind of, you can actually make her cross eye. Like maybe, I don't know, maybe that's a pencil line too. It doesn't look quite like finished or focused. So I'm going to see there's a line up here. So if I were to trace that, that would just kind of be this, and a little floating eyeball here, and that lash line. I don't think that looks so great, but those are the lines that he put down, or he or she. So I'm gonna ink it. So in inking, I'm gonna say, okay, this is her eye, so I definitely wanna make sure which way is she looking. Pay attention. I kind of messed it up already with the little tracing thing. And you want to make sure, okay, maybe I give her, finish her eye, this one, finish that eye, and you're gonna add a little bit more line weight, you're going to add a little bit more finishing to it, and you're going to think a little bit more like, okay, so there's her mask, and might want to follow her eyebrows. So this is going to be black, so in a way I have an easy out here. And okay, so that in here, maybe I want to go lighter, mask disappears, and under the mask maybe it's a thicker line, so I'm thinking a little bit more of like, okay, a little bit of a thicker line under the mask, dark. Maybe I'll go lighter right here for her face, and already you can see like the difference. And I guess I kind of messed up on the eye, sorry guys, but you get what I mean. So, and so we'll continue here. So now on this side, I just kind of simply traced it. So maybe this, I'm thinking, okay, so maybe it should be black. So fill in black. Rather than just, it looks like scratchy lines, so I'm going in as is. So for impact, dun, dun, dun. This is gonna be a slow video, guys. I'll try to make it quick. Okay, so right there, I don't know if you can see the difference, and her lip. So I kind of trace that side. So maybe I'll finish. That will be a little darker. Maybe messing up. Lighter, disappear, and finish. Make it look more like a lip. Lighter, the left lines. Okay. So I don't know if you can see the little bit of difference. And her hair. Okay, well, I'll do her neck. Okay, so this, I was just going whatever lines there. So here, I'll say, okay, this is maybe where her neckline is, and make the distinction between where the neckline is. And whereas here, I'm just kind of like, where is it the neck here? Is that the hair? I don't know. But, so now I'm gonna go ahead and say, okay, so she has hair. See, there's this line here, there's a light line here. It comes down to interpretation. What do you want to make it into and commit to it? So maybe I'll just go, there's a chunk of hair that goes down this way, and make that hair flow. And it's weird to ink with this because this is a Tombow. I'm not used to using like felt tip pen to ink, but we'll do the best that we can. Just working with a new tool. Okay, so I'm gonna say, well, instead of just going, I'm gonna trace this one here and trace that one here. It could kind of end up messy like this and not really working together. So you wanna make sure like hair flows and works together well. So you do in chunks. What's the exact, so maybe you would go there and make it work together, flow together a little bit better. Okay, so that, maybe that, and then where do I go? And then maybe there. So you want to bring it together a little bit more, and then maybe this is when you work with line weights too. Maybe you go thin, thick, give it a little more dimension, thin, thick. You can do that here too. It's messy and ugly, but you guys get the idea. Okay, so maybe we have another, it's going to uniformly. Okay. So now, maybe you do that. And it doesn't look great, but you get the idea. So, okay, maybe you put a little bit there, finish up a couple little things. And so I'll leave that in line as is. And this, so you can go, okay, so maybe you're just kind of scratching in the lines that the penciler put in. And like I said, not great, but you can see where, like, if you have more of like your trace lines, you have, I'm not gonna put my little hand there. Okay, so fine paper, darn it. Okay, So, and that's kind of fine. I think I still like went in with my little inker brain and kind of pull things together a little bit on this side. But, and you know, that's fine, that's okay, that's flat line. And some pencilers ink like that, and it's absolutely fine. Pencilers can ink themselves however they want. But as an inker, I'd like to think that you contribute a little bit by having to do some interpretations and pulling things together. And when you trace, I think that you are, this is back to kind of, and we'll do a little session on controlling your lines. But when you're tracing, your lines are not going to be as smooth, and it's not going to flow as well. So if you're saying you're inking hair, you want that to flow like hair would in the wind. You know how you have like the smooth waves of the hair, and you know, have it work together a little bit, like locks of hair rather than just a chunky mess. And again, as a style thing, some people ink like that. It's perfectly fine. But sometimes as an inker, you have to do some editing. By editing, I don't mean you edit the pencils. I mean you have to really look and say, okay, what line did they really mean to put in, what they didn't. And if you have questions, again, I'll go back to talk to your penciler. So this is where you can definitely make a little bit of a difference from like just tracing something. And I think if you're not contributing, or you know, you can totally mess it up like by if you're just kind of, because if there are scratchy eyes, you can scratchy lines for the eyes, you don't know like which one do I put in. I'll put in both, so you can definitely mess up the eyes, lips, what I mean, you know, you can lose expressions. So you definitely have to look at it first and get a good idea of where she's looking, what is she trying to say with her face, and you want to you know, to not lose that, lose the expressions and all that. So this is just a little bit of silliness between like just, you know, a little bit of just like just tracing straight up, or just inking where you are contributing a little bit and finishing the drawings. Okay, so what if you have a really like finished, that was a really terrible pen, tip was terrible. So if you already have like a really clean, so that one was a little bit loose, but if you have something that's a little more clean, you can definitely do like a similar thing where you, or I will do this side, okay? So even if it's all clean and it's out there and you just kind of trace the lines, you can do that. And I'll do a half and half again. But the pencil on this really sucks. Just kidding, it's me. Okay, so again, flat lines. And this is cleaner, so I will still go in and just trace the lines that are there. And I see, okay, I'm not even gonna try to question it. Like I see two lines here, so I'm gonna go with it. Just gonna go with that, and her eye. Just gonna trace what I see here. See, it's hard for me to not interpret. It's hard for me to just trace it because my brain is so used to not doing that. Okay, so here we go. We're just going to trace. Okay, so I'll leave that half, and this one I'm going to ink a little bit more. So I'm going to do a little bit more. Okay, I've got a dull pen, so we're going to go for it. And I'm actually using a micron here. So So that's that half of the face. So cleaner stuff you can still do, even if you add line weight, if you decide to add line weight. Okay, you can still do that. But okay, so inking, just think of it, just more confident with your line. Okay. Maybe I should an inker and have crappy pens. That's nice. Okay, so I'm gonna think a little bit more. So maybe I want to say she's looking at that direction. So with this, I just kind of like drew the line that's there. So maybe I'll do the more. She's looking at the direction, so it's her eyeball. And this one is kind of spacey. Like if you're just tracing it, where is she looking? We don't really know. So this, you want to say, okay, she's looking over here. So you want to make sure that you show that she is kind of looking that way. And let's see, go in there. So if I were to just trace, I'm gonna fill in the blacks right now, just because. Okay, so again, I can go in the line weight here. Maybe I'll go. And see, that's just a little, so maybe I want to make it a little bit darker. So maybe I want to see there's a little shadow. Light, and I'll give her more form to her lips. Maybe she's saying, ooh. Okay, so think of expressions and stuff. So, ooh, aren't I fancy? Okay, so, and again, this is where I'm like literally tracing every line. So now, this, I see two, but maybe I just want to do one with some line weight. And this, maybe I'll go darker and then thinner where the light might hit it. Okay, and then maybe I'll go, it's also thick and it goes underneath this one, so maybe I want to make that thicker. Maybe I want to make this. Okay, so maybe that's underneath, thicker. And maybe she has a little bit of hair coming out this way, sweep it over. Maybe that goes in front of that right there. Okay, so you're doing a little more interpretation. And I think you were thinking more about drawing, but definitely finishing it up a little bit more. And maybe that you want to go in, I don't know if I can do a dry brush here, but maybe you want to go and you can do, there's no dry brush, this brush is loaded. So you want, so this we just leave as is, we just trace, so we can go, okay, it's black right there. Maybe there's a little white gap right there, I don't know, so I'll leave that there. And this will be solid. but maybe and if I want to, I can go more. See this with a brush, you can go. Hold that forward, the ear is behind. And maybe give it a little. So you're gonna do a little bit more, just not too much thinking, but a little bit more thinking. And it's a neckline right there. So, okay. And let's see, under her lip, maybe you want to go a little thick right there. Again, it's just more interesting if you think of it rather than just tracing whatever's there, just redraw it in ink. And definitely staying true to what's there in pencils. And there's like difference. Oh, I hope there's a difference. There you go. There, there. Hard to define, hard to really say, but my interpretation of good inks is that you're finishing off the pencils, but in ink. And for the pencilers who ink themselves, they can do whatever, they can go flat. I think sometimes if you're just kind of like having to draw the same drawing the second time, you lose a lot of fun factor or energy. Maybe that's why sometimes pencilers draw loose and then they finish in the ink, so it still looks great. But sometimes when the pencilers draw it like really tight, all finished, when they're ready to ink it, it kind of loses a little something, because now they're just like, okay, now I'm just redoing this whole thing. It's not as much fun. I'm definitely not saying that is the case for everyone, every penciler, but sometimes that does happen and you can see it, and I feel that it's a little sad because they lost a lot in there. Whereas if you do have a good penciler inker team, your inker will know you well, know your pencils well, your work well, your language well, that they can finish it for you, and bringing their best to it with the full energy of like brand new, fresh energy, fresh take on that same drawing. This is where I think a good inker and penciler team works well together, because the pencilers will be like great storytellers, great artists who can, you know, who already lays it all down, the foundation, and maybe they are not interested in like the inking part. It could be really tedious and boring. It's like the boring detail stuff. So give it to the guy who likes the boring detail stuff, and it's still going to be fun for him or her because it's the first time they're doing that drawing. And it definitely can make a big difference, and I think that's worth exploring. So and also production wise, it might be faster too. And I'm always all about like the final product. So if a penciler inks himself very well, keep going, have at it. But if that penciler can benefit from having a really good teammate, or the co-pilot, co-captain, I think it's definitely worth considering. With that said, I don't know if that helps, but there you go, inking and tracing. And have fun at it, guys. Till next time. Oh, by the way, I'll be at Comic-Con. I don't do those too often, so I might have some giveaways and I might do some fun videos while I'm there. So I will be at Comic-Con San Diego in about 3 days. So if your friend is there and you're not, send them over to say hi. If you're there, come over yourself. I have some fun stuff. Okay, thanks guys. Bye.